You're listening to Strange by Nature, your guide to the strange, weird, unbelievable, and improbable wonders of the natural world.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here today. I am Kirk Mona, and I am joined today by Rachel Ginza and Victoria Thompson. We are all professional naturalists who together have scoured the world for weird and wonderful wonders just to please your mammalian brain's desire for novelty. Isn't that nice? Let's do this.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. If you didn't notice last week, I apologize. I'm having a little bit of microphone issue, different computer. It's been a whole thing. So I apologize for my audio quality between last week and this week.
Yeah, Rachel's computer ate itself, basically, so.
Yeah.
Well, apparently it gets to be fixed. So at least there's that. This computer doesn't like my microphone, apparently. So it's a thing. But I get to start us off this week, and I am so excited. And maybe a little sad, but you know, this is something that I feel, Kirk, you especially have probably heard about this.
Okay.
And I think all of us as naturalists will know a little something about this particular topic. This week, since we are in the great state of Minnesota, I want to talk about our state bird, the common loon.
Hey.
Oh, all right.
Loons.
Oh, I see where. Okay. I see why you said kind of sad.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah.
I'm
Anyway,
like loons are. Oh, right.
yeah. So, loons are a really cool bird. A lot of people get hung up on like ducks versus geese versus like swans. Loons are water birds, but they are not ducks. They are not geese. They are a water bird. That's pretty much what they're known as. They're pretty...
They are none of the above.
They are neither a duck nor geese.
And it stops there.
That's about it. So loons are really, really beautiful birds, first of all, but they're also super fascinating. They are diving birds. So they, in order to get food, they dive down to catch fish. Now, I'm going to describe a loon a little bit, and then we'll talk a little bit about why I'm talking about loons in the first place, because, wow, are they wild. So loons, if you've never seen one, go to our Instagram. Obviously, we have a picture of them on our Instagram. But a common loon especially, what they look like is they have a white chest. They are pretty much only black and white. They have a white like breast with black feet. Their wings are spotted black, or their black background with white all over the back. They have a mostly black neck with some white and some black striping along, with a completely black head and a very pointed...
like a neck
They have like a
band,
choker.
Exactly. Oh, beautiful. They do. They have
They're
like
very
a choker. They have a black head with a very pointed black beak and very distinct red eyes.
Yeah, red eyes.
That
So
is
cool.
what a breeding adult looks like. They're gorgeous. Now, that's also what we know as like their summer plumage. They do change color a little bit in the non-breeding season. They become a little more gray.
Quite a bit, yeah.
Okay, they
There's
become
like gray all over, aren't they?
pretty much gray with similar markings, just a lot less noticeable, which is good because they're not like breeding at that point in time, so they have no one to impress.
Yeah.
Now, loons are also fascinating because one thing that blew my mind is the fact that with the way loons are shaped, being so like long and boat-like, even though they sit pretty low in the water, it blew my mind when I found out that loons really rarely end up on land. Generally speaking, they can swim and they can fly.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Well,
And-
have you seen their leg placement?
Their
yeah,
legs are super far back on their body.
exactly. Which is why they aren't on land. They are the worst walkers.
They just face plant. Basically.
They
Yeah.
can't walk.
But it
Their
gives them a lot of
legs
power
are
when
so
they
far
swim,
back.
right?
Yes, it gives them a lot of power while they're swimming, especially since they do quite a lot of diving. So it allows them, very similar to like penguins, except instead of standing like vertically like a penguin does, they're still horizontal, but their feet are still that far back. So like it helps them swimming,
Yeah,
but it's
pretty goofy.
it's like they can't land in a tree, they can't land anywhere on the ground, because if they land on the ground,
Nope.
they can't actually take off, because they are similar
Right.
to, and I've seen this in multiple places, they're like airplanes. They need a runway in order to take off, so they need a decent
A
sized
water
lake.
runway.
Exactly. The number that I
Yeah,
found,
and that will actually limit the size lake that they can nest on too.
exactly. Like they need anywhere from 30 yards to a quarter mile to gain enough speed to lift off into the air.
Don't they have like fairly dense bones?
They
The
do.
bird that flies. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that we talk about with birds is that they have what we like to call hollow bones. Not technically actually hollow,
Yeah.
but they're much lighter bones. Loons don't have that. They have the same with penguins, actually. They have the same kind of dense bones that we have, just a more normal bone structure that allows them to be able to dive much deeper, because they
Sure.
they swim very fast, but they need to go pretty deep for some of their food.
How deep do they go, Rachel?
Ooh.
How many Rachels?
Should have. How many Rachels? I don't know.
Do you want to know?
I do want to know. I don't know this.
250 feet.
What?
Wow.
That's really far underwater.
That's so far.
Think of the pressures involved
Yeah.
by going 250 feet underwater. That's pretty.
Yeah, that's so deep.
The more you know.
But the reason why, one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about loons this week, a lot of birds are currently migrating back up north. I actually, I think it was this past Monday, it might have been Monday before, I saw my first yellow-rumped warbler, also known as a butterbutt, of the season, and I got very excited. I told everybody.
I bet.
It was very fun. But loons are currently migrating as well. So how loons migrate is the males migrate up first. They choose a lake and then that they want to be at, and the female loons will return to what they consider their lake. They'll see the male there and be like, I guess you're okay, and will then breed with them and raise chicks and things with them. What's not great is during this past April, we had really high temperatures, like in the 70s and 80s in spots.
Oh, yeah.
And then it dropped to 30s. And I mean, I don't know about you all down there, but we got about a foot of snow.
It was a wild swing.
Yeah.
We
We didn't really get this. We got
some
snow after that,
flurries,
but it was to go from. We broke a record because we had 4 days straight of 80 degrees. I was actually in California, and they were like, the people there are like, "Oh, Minnesota, like it must be really cold back where you are." And I look at the forecast. I'm like, actually, it's going to be about 20 degrees warmer in Minnesota than Los Angeles next week. And they're like, "What?"
Climate change. But then it like swung way down.
And then it plummeted to freezing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, up where I am in the middle of nowhere woods, we got a foot of snow. We broke the record for most snowfall in Minnesota. I think, I don't know officially, but I think we're at like 150 inches of total snowfall this summer. or this season.
How much
not
is
summer.
still on the ground? I'm
this
curious.
summer. I like how you said this summer. Yeah, it was winter, Rachel, but yeah.
Right, it's winter. Well, I think it depends on where you are. If you're in the woods, there's still like 3 feet of snow on the ground. Otherwise, it's
No.
well, I mean, it's covered like and shaded. It's not getting the sun. But everywhere
our snow is
else,
long
like
gone down
my
here.
yard, I probably have like a foot and a half. So, which is fun. Anyway, the reason why I wanted to talk about
loons.
loons, the reason why I brought it up is because of that cold snap. There was a lot of moisture up in the air and there was a lot of cold air. And it actually caused ice to form on the wings of some of the loons who were flying back and migrating. And the birds, the loons were actually crash landing, primarily in Wisconsin.
Oh, that's terrible.
They were dropping out of the sky.
So do you know how many of them actually survived the drop? And then, like, obviously they're on land, so that's not good for them. But, like, maybe people could rescue them, I'm hoping, if they weren't injured otherwise.
There have been a lot of rescue efforts. I don't know how many exactly have died necessarily. That hasn't been reported as of right now, from what I can tell.
Mm-hmm.
From this article that I'm using from NPR, it hasn't been reported yet because they're not built for land or anything. They're landing in fields. They're landing in wherever they can land. Sometimes kind of hard, but there is
the middle of the forest. People may not know.
Yeah.
There is a concerted effort to go and look for the loons as they're potentially landing, and that cold snap is now over with, so it shouldn't affect any of the new loons coming in.
Like, that's why they de-ice the wings of the airplane before the airplane takes off.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You need to install some loon de-icer.
Yeah.
How amazing would that be? Like, hey, we're just gonna de-ice you. You'll be fine.
All loons must fly through this de-icing zone or something. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what I have for us today. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we return, it'll be Victoria.
Strange by Nature podcast is brought to you by listeners like you who have joined the Society of Strange, our membership group on over at patreon.com/strangebynature. Society of Strange members can join at one of 3 different membership levels and help support the show and also get some fun stuff like water bottle stickers or access to super secret content. So a thank you to those who have joined already to help make this podcast possible. If you haven't joined yet, we'll see you soon over at the Society of Strange at patreon.com/strangebynature. See you soon.
Hey, we're back. We talk a lot on this show about parasites.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
We've had many delightful discussions about
Kirk
just last week, in fact.
2 weeks ago, you talked about tapeworm. Ugh.
Well, that was 2 weeks ago. Yes. I was in this last week's show. It just stuck with everyone so much. Brett had a very visceral reaction to.
Still don't like it. So you have a parasite for us, Victoria?
Well, there are many disgusting ways that animals can catch a free ride at the expense of other animals. But there's also the feel-good flip side of parasitism, which is mutualism. And that's where animals just help each other out with both benefiting.
I like that.
And, one example that we've talked about on the show, Rachel, I believe this was your topic, was lichens, which are mutualistic composite lichens. We like lichens. They're made of a fungus, an algae, or a cyanobacteria, and
algae.
Yeah, as it turns out, a yeast.
Oh, yeah. That was like episode 2 or 3 or something.
Bacteria. Yeah.
Oof. Yeah.
It was early. Some other well-known examples that you kind of learn about in biology class or whenever people are talking about this. I feel like these come up. They're clownfish and anemones. And, well, obviously there's our own microbiome of friendly bacteria and other microorganisms in our gut. There's another well-known example that I want to talk about today that is a bird that's kind of often brought up as an example of a mutualistic relationship, and that is the ox pecker. And there are actually two species of ox pecker.
Okay.
They are the genus name is Buphagus, and both of them live in Africa. The yellow-billed oxpecker is more widespread. It lives in most of sub-Saharan Africa, except not rainforests or deserts. And the red-billed oxpecker mainly lives in East Africa.
Okay.
And they are about the size of an American robin, maybe a little smaller. They're kind of an olive brown color. But the red-billed oxpecker, as you might expect, has a bright red beak from its name.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. And its eyes are red also, and they have a yellow ring around them. And the yellow-billed oxpecker has a yellow beak with a red tip and a red eye without a yellow ring. So they kind of like, it's like wearing a kind of boring outfit with flashy accessories.
Wild.
Yeah. You've likely seen pictures of these birds because they're pretty well known for hanging out with large packs of mammals. They hang out on the backs of big animals like zebras, impalas, hippopotamuses, buffalo, giraffes, rhinoceroses, and, as you would expect from the name, cattle as well. So the story goes like this. The oxpecker likes to eat ticks and other insects that parasitize these large mammals, and also will eat, if they get a wound and it has maggots in it or something like that, they like the maggots.
That's so horrible. Okay, go on.
So it hangs out on the back of an impala or whatever, happily eating ticks and getting a meal. And the impala has its load of parasites reduced, making it presumably healthier. So happy mutualistic relationship. Well, as they used to say in the relationship apps, or maybe they still say it, I wouldn't know. It's complicated.
They do. At least last time I checked. Oof. Oh, God. Yeah.
How complicated?
Well, in fact, oxpeckers do feed on insects, but it seems like their preferred food might actually be blood.
What?
Oh, you don't say. Okay.
So they really like...
I was just about to say, I want an oxpecker to sit on my shoulder when I'm teaching outside to eat all the ticks and stuff, but...
You don't, though.
I'm going to hold off on that statement.
Are they the vampires of birds?
Kind of, yeah. They really like ticks that are full, so blood engorged, and they'll choose full ticks over not full ticks, which actually makes them, kind of less useful to the mammals because ticks that are full are going to drop off soon anyway and have already, sucked a bunch of blood out of the animal. So
and passed their disease on and stuff. Yeah.
Yes. So there's that. They will also peck to keep wounds open so that they can drink the blood from their mammal hosts.
Oh, man.
What? No.
And they have also been observed pecking new holes in the host's skin to make a new wound so that they can drink blood.
Oh.
Okay, I'm going to officially pass on this.
Yeah, don't have that on your shoulder.
Summer camp teaching.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yikes.
Yeah, there's actually some evidence that, in fact, they just prefer to eat various body substances from the mammals rather than insects. They still eat insects, but they like dead skin. They also eat earwax. Gross.
That one I think I knew, yeah.
Gross.
Yeah. So, Are these birds actually just parasites in disguise? Well, I mean, yes and no. So, as we so often like to say on the show, we like to make these little boxes, and nature laughs at the little boxes. So, the relationship really is both mutualistic and parasitic, because the mammals are getting some benefit out of this. And for the most part, they seem to tolerate the birds being there. They're not trying to shake them off all the time.
Yeah.
So there may be some other aspect to the relationship that we don't know about yet. There certainly is a parasitic aspect as well.
Yeah, look at all these. Look at all these poke wounds.
Pretty looking bird hanging out on your back.
Right.
Okay, I guess that's nicer.
Just to add another weird twist to this.
There wasn't enough.
So it's been fairly recently discovered that this is through some camera trapping. They've discovered that yellow-billed ox peckers will actually sleep on their hosts. They'll roost, but not on their back. So they will preferentially roost on giraffes.
Okay.
Basically up in their groin, underneath, in between their legs.
What?
Just hanging on and sleeping there.
I mean, I guess it's warm and protected.
Yeah, warm and protected. I don't understand how the giraffes are
That's cool.
Putting up with this.
That's cool. Yeah.
I wouldn't put up with it.
Hanging on by their beaks? How are they? What are they perching on?
I think they're gripping with their feet.
Well, maybe don't answer that.
That would hurt.
Yeah, it sounds painful.
That would hurt.
Not great.
Oh.
You would think.
There's an interesting hypothesis about why they do this, though. Not just for the warmth and the safety, but so the red-billed ox peckers, which are the ones that are only in East Africa, they will eat from a fairly wide variety of mammal hosts. But the yellow-billed ox peckers really specialize more in very large mammals, and they particularly like to eat from buffalo. But they're the ones that roost in the giraffes and sometimes other animals. But the thought is because they have fewer hosts, they want to sleep with the host so that they don't have to then go find the host in the morning.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
So that makes sense. You want to a bed and breakfast. In fact, the title of the paper, was
Bed and Breakfast.
Bed and Breakfast.
That's good. They saw their opportunity and they went with it.
Gosh. So they're crotch birds called ox peckers. That's lovely.
The yellow-billed.
Outstanding.
Crotch pecker.
Oh, no.
Wow. Wow.
You can go in the paper and look at the pictures that they have of little birds.
Oh, can we? Great.
Giraffe.
Careful what you type in.
Rachel.
I think Rachel has gone over the laughter cliff. I don't know if we can get her back.
Okay, we're gonna go to a break, and we'll hear from Kirk when we get back.
Oh no.
Welcome back, everyone. I can't believe it took this long. We're on episode 116, and I'm finally going to talk about wombat poop.
Oh, that's been on my list forever.
This is the topic that's been on your list for months and years.
Back before we ever even recorded the first pilot episode, I made a list of about 30 topics to cover on the show, and wombat poop was number 6 on my list.
I cannot say this was on my list.
Okay.
I don't know what's special about wombat poop.
Well, you're going to find out. The reason it took so long to get to this is that we live on an amazing world. And I just kept adding new stuff to the list and new stuff that I want to talk about. One of my naturalist coworkers kept talking about wombat poop, though, or wombat scat, if we want to be scientific. And even my wife has suggested this as a topic. So, okay, to everyone who has asked for it, this one is for you. So the wombat is a marsupial found in where else?
Australia.
Of course. And they can be classified as either nocturnal, meaning like active at night, or in some cases crepuscular, one of my favorite words. That means active at dawn and dusk. And because they're not out and about during daylight hours very often, humans are more likely to encounter their scat than they are to actually encounter the actual animals. And the scat itself is baffling because it is cube-shaped.
Yeah, it is.
That's right. I did know this. Oh, that's right.
It's so wild.
Very strange.
They're so cute, but like
I don't know if any other mammal. Wait, they're so cute. You mean the wombats?
The wombats are cute, not the poop.
Are cute, Rachel.
The wombats.
Okay, wanted to clarify that for her. I'm like, it's cube shaped. She's like, oh, they're so cute. I'm like, okay. There aren't any other mammals in the world that poop out cubes, but the wombat certainly does. The average wombat creates about 100 cubes per night, which is quite a substantial deposit.
That's a lot of poop.
And when I first heard of this, I was picturing perfect little even-sided cubes, but that's not quite right. These look a bit more like a charcoal briquette, though perhaps even blockier. They're really more rectangular than square is what I'm trying to get at, with like rounded edges. I think the rounded off edges is what gives me sort of that charcoal briquette.
Sort of like kibble.
Yeah.
A little bit like kibble.
Maybe, but even more sort of like boxy, at least for the kibble that I feed my dog. This scat is strange and has been well known for some time, but when scientists or naturalists look at something like this, two questions come to mind: how and why? So most mammal feces we're familiar with, and being mammals, I assume we're all familiar with mammalian feces. It's roughly or tube-shaped because it mimics the shape of our intestines. So if we're seeing a different shape, it could stand to reason that it may have something to do with the intestines of the wombat. Well, I'm happy to report that we now know the answer after all of these years. In 2019, Patricia Yang and David Hu were actually awarded the Ig Nobel Prize, one of our favorite prizes. Not the Nobel Prize, mind you, the Ig Nobel Prize from the, which is for the, if you're not familiar with the Ig Nobel Prize, this is given out by is it the Institute for Improbable Research, I believe it's called?
Yeah, something like that.
And they just love, really strange research that's been done. And they published a paper.
I think the tagline is research that makes you laugh, then think.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So they published a paper called Intestines of Non-Uniform Stiffness Mold the Corners of Wombat Feces. This is in the Royal Society of Chemistry's journal called, get this, the name of the journal is Soft Matter.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
Yeah, I had to look it up. Look up this journal, by the way. It is not a journal devoted to scat. It publishes on literally any topic that involves soft matter of any kind. So like tissue or whatever. So no, there literally isn't a poo journal, though that would be an amazing title for one.
Right?
If it did
What
exist.
a missed opportunity.
So here's what they found out. There are basically bands of thinner and thicker sections of the wombat intestine that run along the length of the intestine. And testing shows that the thicker sections can squeeze harder than the thin sections can. When the intestines squeeze their contents, the reason part of why that's going on is it's to remove water from the food, the digested food, so that water can then be reabsorbed into the body. And wombats tend to live in some fairly dry climates, so recovering as much water from your waste as possible is important. And the water is squeezed out And because the squeezing is not even across the whole cross section, you get like 4 sides that are pushed in, and you essentially end up with a cube shape.
Huh.
So that's really cool. They were able to figure that out. I think they actually got like a road-killed wombat to look at the intestines and study. That does answer the how, but what about the why?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah,
there
wouldn't
are
it
some
be-
things.
Would it be more efficient to just squeeze the whole thing and
Right,
get
exactly,
the water out that
exactly.
way, right?
And there are some things we've talked about in the show. There are things that arise in nature that don't have to have a reason, or at least not a purpose. They are just quirks of evolution. But I don't think that's the case with the wombat poop. Being cubic really does have an advantage. You see, wombats are what I like to call proud poopers. Keep in mind, this isn't a scientific term. Researchers didn't use this in their paper. It's a term that a lot of us naturalists use to talk about animals that don't hide their scat. So if you think
Like
about a
coyotes.
cat,
Yep.
yeah, like if you think about, I was thinking about like the other direction, like from a cat though, like we might be familiar with that. The fact that they bury their scat, right? Coyotes will just go to the bathroom right in the middle of the trail, but animals like a raccoon, they'll actually climb right up like on your deck railing and leave a big old steamy berry-filled load right there for all to see. Raccoons are definitely proud poopers.
Feels like something
And
that happened to you,
There's a reason
Kirk.
for this behavior. I have some deck trauma, from raccoons, but animals that are proud poopers are using their waste product as a calling card to mark their territory. So a raccoon defecating on your deck may be telling other raccoons that deck and any food scraps on it belong to them. So animals will do this up on top of logs in the forest, on rocks, any kind of usually a little bit higher up surface. They want to make it visible. They're proud, you know. So wombats do seem to use their scat to mark their territory as well, and they will commonly climb on top of a large rock to leave their scat there for others to find. If their scat was round, it would roll off the rocks. And because it's cubic, it not only stays on top of the rock, but it can actually be
It's
stacked up into little piles.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
A little pyramid of wombat.
It's like a little cairn of poop.
Yeah, or like a little wombat Jenga. I don't know. In the case of the raccoons,
Wombat
many
henge.
Wombat henge. There you go. That's quite a visual. But in the case of raccoons, that like I think our listeners are probably more familiar with, they use a different method. Like their scat is very wet and loose, and makes it sticky. Yeah, and so it stays in place by dint of it being sticky. And this isn't going to work for a wombat, though. As I said, they live in dry areas, and they need to get as much water out of the scat as possible so they can survive. So it's not going to be sticky at all, and it certainly is not going to stay put being dry. So having cubic scat is an amazing adaptation to be able to still be a proud pooper, even in an arid environment. So that's it. Now you know more than you ever imagined you would about wombat scat. But
It's so
amazing.
because it's so cool.
I love it.
Oh, wild.
I also have to put in a plug. I have to put in a plug for a really cute children's book that we wound up with. Called Diary of a Wombat.
Oh,
Very funny.
all right.
Highly
Do they
recommend.
mention cubic being a proud
It
pooper?
doesn't
Cubic
mention the
poop?
poop, alas, but it mentions other wombat.
Because children
behaviors.
would probably like that.
Yeah.
Well, there's
Missed
also,
opportunity.
there's the one book called Everybody Poops. That one's fun.
Everybody poops. Yeah.
Yes.
Very popular. Fantastic.
Oh, so good.
Friends, you have, I'm not going to say wasted, you have enriched your life over the past 35 minutes by listening to the show here. Thanks so much for being with us, and we'll say goodbye.
All right. Bye, everybody.
See you next week.
Thanks everyone for listening to today's show. Be sure to subscribe. New episodes drop every Wednesday, and we love sharing this strange world with all of our listeners. If you would be so kind as to leave us a 5-star review, that would be great. It lets other lovers of the strange discover the show. You can reach out to us on social media by searching for Strange by Nature Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can send us an email as well. Our address is contact@strangebynaturepodcast.com. If you want more information about the show, you can also check out our website, which is strangebynaturepodcast.com. Until next week, get outside, stay curious, and embrace the strange.